This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, great. So yesterday we discussed about a couple of things in terms of you know um, creation of GitHub account, creation of LinkedIn account, and then once we create a LinkedIn account, how do we make sure we incline all our feeds or all our job related aspects into cybersecurity. We also saw how do we create chat GPT, how do we create use Google bot, um, and then we also discussed on how do we set up Kali by downloading the virtual Oracle virtual box and then the Kali. So let me know if you guys have any questions, any queries on setting up the Kali OS lab setup. And also confirm me if everybody did it. If no, please feel free to raise hand, chat in, whatever is comfortable from your end, guys. Okay, I'll take the silence as no, but still for the betterment, I'm gonna quickly also discuss or show you how do we do it the Kali way, right? So once we go and download the Oracle virtual box from this particular website, right? You will be downloading it based on the OS version you have in, right? You go to the downloads, and then whatever OS you have in your as a host machine, you're going to select that host machine and download it, right? Once you download, once you install it, the second thing is that we need to go to the Kali website again, right? And click on Get Kali, and then we'll be selecting this one, the virtual machine, right? Now you can also select the different variants of it. If you want to install Kali in your mobile, you can do it. If you have, apart from the Intel processor, if you have any other processor, ARM processor, you can go for it. If you want to, let's say if you don't want to use any infrastructure, you want to use as a Docker or as a container, we can do it, right? Now what is Docker, what is container, we'll discuss later point of time. Don't worry about it. Okay, but just for time, so couple of classes, couple of initial classes, just bluntly follow or listen what is happening, because trying to understand everything at this point of time will be little challenging. But as you further move in, we're gonna clear up all your basic doubts, clear up all the basic elements required for cybersecurity. Okay, now we'll go to the virtual machines. Click on virtual machines, select which OS bit size you have, either 32, either 64, whatever suits you in. Now in my system, I have a 64-bit OS Windows running. So I'm going to download the 64-bit and click on this. Now, if you're using a VMware, you can download VMware related software. You're using Hyper-V, you can do it. You want to use this one, you can go for it, right? So I'm going to download this one. So once I download, it will be something looking like this, right? You see, it's a zip file, right? And to extract a zip file, I think most of you will know, we need to right click and then click on extract files, right? So once you extract files, you'll be having a folder something like this, right? Click on this folder, right? And then you will be having, one is this brown color icon and the other one is this blue color icon, right? Blue color icon is just 3 KB, whereas the brown color icon Kali is a much bigger size, right? So we need to click on the blue color icon. So once we click on this, what will happen is it will something come up like this, right? It is going to come something coming like this. So once Kali is installed, you need to click on this arrow button. Okay, so right now for me it is showing a show because I already started it. Kali is already running on it. But for you people, if you didn't start yet, it will show a start. Okay, so once you click on start, you will be having up something like this, right? Something, a pop-up will come something like this, right? Let me close it down again. Okay. See, so what's powered off? It is, so we need to click on start. So once you click on start, you can see powering up the VM 0% it shows. Wait for till it goes for 100%. Okay, VirtualBox 7.0. Right. This is gonna take a couple of seconds to boot up and then open up the Kali machine. So we'll wait till it happens. Okay. Okay, just getting started. Right? And you'll see something, an icon like this, right? A dragon symbol, right? Now, I also mentioned you that the default password for Kali is Kali as the username and Kali as the password itself only. Okay, I'm going to type in the chat. Kali is the username, and again, Kali is the password, right? So, okay, that's it. Okay. Now, once you log in into it, lot of things, lot of aspects comes into it. We're not going to discuss all of them at this point of time. Okay. Will as we further move on to the course, we're going to go in depth. But for time being, the only job or the only homework we're going to do is to only set up Kali machine. That's it. Okay. Now, if you want to increase the size, I'm going to click on, let's say, scaled mode. And if I'm going to click on this, this doesn't look good actually. Um, Let me, I, okay. I can do one thing. Is there an option to, okay. Okay, this should be good, I think. Let me check. Okay. Now, can anybody tell if you wanted to check whether internet connection is working or not? How do we find it out? What are the different ways to find out if internet is working in your system or not? Can anybody? Bandhav, Anita, who's there? Ashraf, can you tell? How do we find whether the system is connected to internet or not? Nobody?
I mean, we can in the bottom you can see whether it is connected.
Okay, that's one way. Now let's say that there are systems which doesn't have the GUI. It's only command prompt or only terminal is there, right? How do we find in that case? Now, for example, now here you'll be able to see because at the end you will see this internet icon which is coming up, right? But let's say that, for example, you have the only the terminal in the sense this dabba, this black color box is called as terminal in Linux, whereas in Windows, um, you know, what you do is that if you go here, you're gonna see this Windows symbol, right? Go here and then click on command prompt, right? It comes something like this. So in Windows, we call this black color box as command prompt. And in Linux, the black color box where the icon or the cursor blinks, we call them as a terminal. Okay. I'm going to type it here. Command, sorry. In Windows, we call them as command PROM command prompt, whereas in Linux we called as terminal. Okay. Now both of these terminal and command prompt works in a similar fashion, apart from couple of variations to it. Right. Now let's go back here. Okay. Now let's say, for example, I wanted to check whether internet is working on. What I will do, I'll do a simple ping. Right. I'm gonna do ping dot google.com. Right. Now, if you're able to see something as reply from 172, 217, 160, 132, that means internet is working. The reason, because this particular IP address, right? Anybody knows what exact, I mean, anybody doesn't know what is an IP address? Anita, Bandhav, what is IP address? Okay, no problem. So
Internet protocol.
that is the definition, but can you explain in a layman terms?
No, I mean, for everything there will be a defined IP address for Google for every laptop there will be some IP address. Using that IP address, we can. I mean, how we call.
Yes, no, you're on right track. See, like everybody have their own
Own
home
identity.
address
Yes,
or
yes.
door number, right? Similarly, for every computer, every mobile, every IoT device, every, Alexa, whatever devices you take, the devices which are connected to internet, they have an
IP address.
individual IP address, right? Now, let's say that now see, IP address is something like a door number, right? Now, if you want to go to a friend's house, you will definitely know the door number, right? Similarly, we should also find the IP address of the system to go and knock or go and go to the system, right? We should know the IP address, right? Now, IP addresses, there are two kinds of IP addresses. Okay, one is called as private and the other is called as public. Okay, right. Now let's not go into the IP range or what are the different subnets of it. Just only understand there are two kinds of IP addresses. One is public, one is private. Okay. Now, in offices, whenever you're connected inside your office, your laptop, you will usually find something like 10 dot, okay, 2.3.3. Those are all our private IP addresses, right? Or else you sometimes you'll also see something like 192, 168, let's say dot 4.5, right? So whenever you see 10 number or 192 number, 192.168, or if you're able to see something as 172, these are all our internal IP addresses, right? And apart from these three ranges, if you're able to see something like this, for example, let's say 78.5.6.7, okay, or let's say 23.4.5.6, all these are public IP addresses, right? So usually in organizations, within the organizations, like for example, let's say if Srinath is working in office, then his laptop will be having a private IP address, right? Okay, all right. We'll still discuss detailed about public and private IP address subnets, in further classes. But just for your understanding, IP address. In IP address, we have two major categories. One is public IP address and one is private IP address. Okay, all right. Um, I think I should keep this. Okay. 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 Now coming back to the same question, how do we find whether the system is connected to internet or not? We're gonna use ping command. Okay. So let's say for example, you wanted to, let's say for example, you're sitting in your system and you wanted to check whether, let's say, Swiss Technologies is up or running. I mean, is up or down? We need to find out. For example, let's say, okay, let's go quickly go to, let's say, um, what's the website? Swiss Tech. Okay. Now, for example, let's say Ramu sir wanted to find out whether Swiss Technology website is up or running, or for example, you wanted to check whether this website is, up and running without going to browser. How will you find out? Is copy this, copy this name or copy this domain. What is domain? We'll discuss this later, but just copy this name. Okay, copy and go to your command prompt and click ping and this. Okay, we're gonna remove this HTTPS and see. Right now, what is happening? We are able to get some response from Swiss technology. That is, the IP address of Swhizz.com is 46.17.172.130. Okay, just blindly follow that the IP address of Swhizz.com is 46.17.172.130. Okay, now there will be little bit logic behind, let's say if Swiss technologies have some kind of firewall or some kind of IDS, IPS, the IP address may change. We don't know, but for time being, we'll just assume that the IP address of Swiss technologies 46.17.172.130, right? And this is a public IP address, right? So this is how we find out whether, if your system, now if I'm able to ping, if I'm able to knock swisstechnology.com, that means my internet is working, right? And if Swiss technology responds back saying that this is my IP address, that means Swiss technology is also up and running. Okay. Okay, now let's go back to our terminal. Okay, now here also we can do a similar command called ping dot, let's copy here. Okay, and so we've checked in Windows, now we're doing in terminal. Right now here also we're getting the same response saying that, a reply is coming from this particular Swhizz.com. Okay, so this is the way how we find out whether internet is up and running or not. Okay, all right. Let's move on. Any doubts, any queries?
Yeah, regarding can we find the exact location of the any IP address, sir? Suppose
Huh.
if I'm chatting to a person in the Teams in the office, so is there any way where he's exactly by sending a message?
Exactly. But anyhow, finding out the location of IP address is something we're definitely going to discuss, but not now. But because you have asked a question, I'm going to quickly show you how to find the location of that particular IP address. Okay, copy the IP address. Okay, and go to what is IP address. Sorry, what is my IP address? Now, before that, now for example, in Google, if you're able to type what is my IP address, the IP address which you're seeing on your screen, it comes as 124.1. That is my IP address, right? Now I am using whatever broad, internet connectivity I'm using. This particular IP address belongs to that connectivity, right? Now, if I want to find out the location, okay, of this particular IP address, you can see it says as Telangana, right? You're able to see it says Telangana. And if you further zoom down, you will also be able to see whether it is which location is accurate, right? If you see, city is Hyderabad, right? ISP is at Guntur, Telangana, India, right? Now let's say I'm gonna type in the IP address of Swiss Technologies, right? When I'm gonna click on enter, okay. Now, what details it came? Now, this particular IP address belongs to a data center, and that data center is basically located in Singapore. Now, this doesn't mean that Swhizz Technologies, which is in Ayappa Society, its office is actually in Singapore. No, that's not the case. The website which is hosted on a particular IP address, that particular data server is hosted in Singapore. Okay, again, I'm repeating. Now, if you're able to see Singapore over here, that doesn't mean that Swhizz Technologies is actually located in Singapore. This means that Swhizz Technologies website, the website which you're seeing over here, the website will be definitely hosted somewhere, right? Some of the servers on some server it will be hosted. That server is actually located in Singapore. Okay, that is the take we need to find out. Okay, now let's see further. Okay, if you see, is also ISP stands for Internet Service Provider, and this is the service provider for this particular data center, right? Now, let's also go and find out some other more details. Um, okay. Not this one. So, okay. So first thing, I'm gonna also copy this link and share with you guys. Okay. And there should be one more. Okay, let's find out this one. Okay. Now, let's give the IP address of Swhizz Technology. Okay, sorry, my bad. What was the IP address here? Okay, I'm gonna click on IP link. Okay. So it says as Singapore. Okay. ISP is same. What are the details are there? Any other interesting details we're able to find here? No, nothing. So it gives the same results. Okay. Now let's do one thing. Okay. There should be one more website. Okay, this one. Okay, MX Toolbox, and let's give the IP address here and see what results it comes up. Oh, sorry. Actually, forget about this. This we'll discuss later. But only things to remember is if you want to find the location of the IP address, you use either this website, what is my IP address, or you can use iplocation.net. Whatever is feasible for you, you can go for it, right? So hope this clarifies your query, Srinath.
Yeah, yes, Abhi.
Okay, okay, cool. Now, okay, so where were we at? We were actually discussing how do we find out if we are connected to internet or that particular system which is in scope is also um, up and running in the internet or not. To find out, we'll be using ping command. Okay, all right. Now let's close this down. Okay. Any queries, any doubts, guys?
Oh, sir, what is the difference between IP address and MAC address?
What is the difference between
IP address and MAC address.
IPS and MAC address? Good, great question.
Yeah.
Okay, now MAC address is the physical location or physical address of your system. Okay, now for example, let's say for example, if you're using your respective phones, okay, go to your settings. I'm going to quickly show you people who are using different phones. Go to your mobile settings, right? Once you go on your mobile settings, search there for MAC address. Okay, just type in MAC. Okay, now if you see MAC address, you'll be able to see something called as, let me show you guys. Okay, now if you see something like this, right, which says as link local address, if you're able to see something like, you know, no, this is IP version 6 actually. Oh, sorry, not this one, my bad. Let's find out default gateway. No, it should be like this. Okay, no worries. Let's go to system configuration. Okay, services, starter, tools, general. No. Give me a second. Let me show you. Where is images? Okay, for example, let's take this. Okay, now here, right, so MAC address is nothing but those are all our physical and static IP addresses. Static in the sense they don't get changed every time. Once the address is allocated, that address is permanent for it, right? Now, for example, let's say um, you take any heritage site, or you take, for example, let's say Golconda Fort, right? The Golconda Fort was there since many years. It was in the same location. Let's consider that will have some kind of MAC address. But whereas, for example, let's say if you're staying in PG, or let's say if you're staying in a hostel, maybe in a year or over 2 years we'll be changing the hostel, or we'll be changing the PGs, right? Let's consider that as an IP address, right? So usually IP addresses can be both dynamic and can also be static. Okay, but whereas MAC addresses, those are all are static, and those are physical addresses. That means nobody can change the MAC address very easily, right? Once it is given, once the address is given to the to any of the system, that is permanent, for it. Now, for example, let's say I don't think so. This is a MAC address. Let's find out here. Um, how do we find? Give me a second. Okay. Now, for example, let's say this is one of the router, right? Now, if you see here, you will basically see something like this, a MAC address, right? MSC. So all these devices are embedded into this system itself only, right? Similarly, let's say, for example, let's consider this one, Lenovo. Sorry, not Lenovo, but Cisco. Let's say this is some kind of switch over here. So if you see here, this is the MAC number, right? So this is very unique to itself, and nobody will have the same MAC address anywhere in the world, right? Now, SN stands for serial number, MSC stands for media access control address. Okay. Now, similarly, let's take this device. Okay, let me open it in a better way. Open the image in a new tab. Okay. Now, if you see here, this, okay, this wireless MAC address, right, is actually belonging to this particular Wi-Fi device, right? So that's the Basic difference between MAC address are static in nature. Once it is allocated, nobody can actually change that MAC address. But whereas in IP address can be both static and dynamic. Okay, there is no hardened rule for it. For example, when I'm connected to my internet, that is my broadband connection, every time I connect to the broadband, maybe my IP address will change. Okay, but let's say, for example, Flipkart.com or Amazon.com, all those IP addresses will be static in nature. So once they buy this IP address, they will not change it every time, right? Because it's a pretty huge business. They cannot afford to change the IP address for every now and then. Right? So bigger organizations, bigger companies, or the companies where having a static IP address makes sense, they will go and buy the static IP address, or else by default everybody will be having dynamic address, right? Now let's say, for example, if you're opting out for a new internet connection in your home, you have an option where you can select a static IP address or you can select a dynamic IP address. If you're going to select static IP address, you need to pay extra amount, so that they will assign that IP address only to you and nobody else will have the IP address. But whereas in dynamic IP address, it will change every time, right? So MAC addresses, we also call them as a physical address. Okay. Now in the future courses, we are gonna learn how do we change the MAC addresses, how do we play around with these MAC addresses, how do we hack these MAC addresses. All those aspects is something we're gonna cover up in the upcoming classes. All right. Great. Hope this clarifies. I don't know who Bandhav you asked.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay, great. Okay. Now, if you have a Wi-Fi device in your home, flip the Wi-Fi device and see what is the MAC address you have, right? Similarly, in your phone, if you're using an Android phone, go to settings, search there as MAC address. So you will be able to find something called as a Bluetooth address. You'll be also able to find something called as Wi-Fi MAC address, right? So it will be something. Let me show you the MAC address format. How do you identify which is a MAC address or not, right? So, yeah, this it will be something looking like this, like two digits and then this two dots and then two digits, two dots. It will be something like this, right? So whenever you find address something like this, we usually call them as a MAC address. Okay. Similarly, let's say, for example, like this. Okay, you'll be able to find something like this, like two digits and then space, two digits and space, like this. It will be, finding out. Okay, all right. What else do we have here? Okay. Okay, there's one more thing I wanted to show you guys before we further move in. Okay. Now, let's say if you want to find the IP address of your system, okay, I told you there are two ways, right? One is that, let's say if I'm going to click on what is my IP address, okay, what is my IP address from doing a Google search, I'll be able to get 124, 123, 118. Okay. Now, let's say if I want to find the IP address via terminal, what I will do, I will click IP config. Okay, so once I click on IP config, let me give me a moment. I want to actually zoom it better. I cannot. Why is this that? Okay, okay, edit. Okay, I don't know how to increase the text of it. Okay, anyhow, but if you're gonna do IP config in the command prompt, you will be able to see some junk data, some random data coming over here. Okay, there's nothing to worry. Okay, we will be only concentrating on this particular information, right? Now, my laptop, the laptop which I'm showing you right now, is connected to Wi-Fi, right? And if you're able to see, this is the internal, this is the local IP address which you're able to see, 192.168 is 108, right? So this is my local IP address, that is private IP address. Okay. Now, for example, let's say to my internet, to my home internet, I have my laptop connected, I have my TV connected, I have my washing machine connected, my dishwasher connected. All those devices are connected to Wi-Fi, right? So every device will have its own IP address, right? And I discussed earlier, in IP address, we have two types. One is public, one is private. So anything which is coming as 192.168, let's say .x.x, okay, all are private IP addresses, okay. And the range for any IP address is gonna be 1.0.0 to 255.255.255.255. Okay, that means the IP addresses can be in between this range. Now, when I say this range, it can be, let's say, 1.1.0.0. Okay, so similarly, let's say 2.3.4.5. So if you're able to see 2, 3, 4, 5 comes between this range only, right? Let's say, for example, if you're able to see something like 234 dot, you know, 2, not 234. Let's say I'm going to give 280.192.34.56. Now, can you tell me whether this is a valid IP address or not? 280.
No.
Okay, no. Why no?
It should be between 251 to 255, no?
Exactly, yes. So this is not a valid IP address. Okay. Now let's say, for example, 32.340.4.5. Is this a valid IP address?
No, no, no.
Exactly, good. So it's not a valid IP. So any IP address should be in the range between 1.0.0 to 255.255.255.255. Okay. Now, okay, let's keep this. Okay. Okay. There is one more thing I wanted to discuss. There are two types of IP address, public and private. There are two versions of IP address also. Okay. Now, this public and private are types of IP address. Okay. But whereas you have version also. Okay. We have something called IP version 4, IP version 4, and IP version 6. Okay. Now, just understand, let's not go into the detail of what is version 6, why it came into existence, and all those features. IP version 4 is anything IP address which falls under this bucket, right? And let's say, if now see, as the technology is growing, as cloud computing is going, millions of device gets added or gets connected to internet, right? Now, we never imagined that even I can go and connect washing machine, I can connect my AC, I can connect my, bulb, or even a smart watch to internet. Nobody ever imagined when they created this IP address. But as the technology is growing, as the more number of devices is coming into the market, there was a need to extend the range of the IP addresses, right? So that wise IP version 6 was introduced. Now, if you see here at the background of my screen, you see IP version 6, right? So this is how the IP version 6 looks like, which is of both hexadecimal, that is both alphabet and also number. But whereas if you see IP version 4, this is only numbers here, right? So these are the two different versions of IP address, IP version 4 and IP version 6. Okay. Now, IP version 6 is, just remember, it's a hexadecimal value. Can anybody tell what is hexadecimal value? Hexadecimal values. Let's ask Sairam. Sairam, for UPC, you should have definitely studied hexadecimal. Okay, I don't
I
see.
guess which is having the base value of 16 or 32.
Exactly, correct. That's correct, Saira. Let me show you. Um, Hexadecimal and go to images. Um, it's very small. Let's open this. Now, hexadecimal is nothing but 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then A, B, C, D, E, F. So if you count all these are nothing but 16. I mean, from 0 to 15, right? Now here the decimal numbers are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 15, right? So similarly, hexadecimal is nothing but you have 9 digits and then you have alphabets from A to F, right? So any IP version 6 will be hexadecimal value. That means, for example, let's say if you're able to see something like Z6 dot 25, that is not a hex, that is not a IP version 6, because IP version 6 should be between these range only. Okay. Now, what I'm trying to convey is, let's say, for example, we have an an IP version 6 IP address as, let's say, for example, ZX34, let's say BN, okay, let's say 98, 76 QA. Now, do you think this will be a valid IP version 6?
No,
It,
no, no, no.
it
It
is
should
not.
be,
Exactly. It should be either from 0.
to 9 or it should be between A to.
Exactly. It should be between 0 to 9 and then A to F. Okay, that's what. Okay, great then. Let's move forward. Okay, so what we're discussing here, to find out the IP address of my own system, we need to do something called as, okay, to clear the screen, I'm typing CLS, which is clear the screen. Okay, what I'm going to type, IF, sorry, I always get confused. IP config. So which I click on IP config, you're able to see now all this remaining Ethernet adapter, all this is different. Don't worry about all those things. We'll discuss later. The only thing we need to concentrate is this one. Okay. So my local IP address is 192.168.108. Okay. Now my mobile IP address can be, let's say, 192.168.68.105. My washing machine will be 102. My TV will be 101. Okay. Now, the remaining values which are able to something like subnet, default gateway, no need to discuss now. We'll discuss this later. Only thing we need to find out is IP address. Is this information only we need to find out. Okay. Now let's go and check. Let's go and check what is the IP address in my Kali system. So here IP config doesn't work. Okay. We need to type in IF config here. Okay, if I type in ifconfig, what it says, this is my local IP address. Okay, and this is my Ethernet. Now, when you're seeing ETH0, that means it is the network connectivity mode that we'll discuss later. But just remember, there are two types. One is loopback address, one is Ethernet port. We'll discuss that later, but only just concentrate when you're doing an IP if config. This is the IP address of my Kali machine. Okay, so IP address. Okay, I'm gonna type in here if config. Okay, now I'm not sure if this works or not. Okay, leave it, no problem. Okay. All right. Okay, one more thing. If config. Now I'm typing only if config, right? Right. So if I'm typing in if config, only few details are coming up, right? Now here, if I want to clear the screen, I need to type in clear. If I type in CLS, it will throw me an error. You see some error I got. Now, but if you're gonna type clear, the screen is all the previous content goes off. But whereas in Windows, we need to type in CLS, not CLER. Okay, that's the difference. Okay. So I'm gonna write it here so that you can practice. One is CLS and the other is clear. Okay, in clear it is Linux, but whereas in CLS it is Windows. Right? Okay, it is Windows. Okay, now if config, I'm gonna add one more attribute to if config saying this hyphen a. Hyphen a stands for all. That means I'm going to get all the relevant information related to if config. Okay, nothing came up. Okay, so if nothing came up, that means that this is the only available information which I'm able to get. Sorry, if config hyphen a. Right now, you might not be able to see any difference between it, but if, let's say, for example, if you have a bigger network or multiple computers or multiple systems in an environment, if you're going to type in ipconfig a, you'll be getting a lot of other additional details also relevant to it. Okay, now similarly, let's say ipconfig hyphen a. I think it's not hyphen. It's actually, I think it should be all, I think. Ha, correct. Okay. CLS. Now here, if I now there's a difference between if IP config and if I click on IP config, I'm getting only few details. Okay. I mean, few details in the sense these are the details which are bare minimum required for IP config. But if I'm gonna enter, add one more attribute, all, I'm getting a lot of other details. You see the difference between, let me do one thing. Instead of this, let me open up a new command prompt and then give a comparison between these two. This should be easy to compare actually. Here, okay. Okay. And here, I'm gonna enter ipconfig all. Right? Now, if you see the difference between at the end wireless adapter, and if you see the difference between these two, this one and this one, you see a lot of details are there, right? For example, when was the lease obtained, lease expires, what is the default gateway, what is the DHCP server, but all this information is not there here, right? So that completely depends on you based on the scenario to scenario, based on the usability. If you want to do IP config, you will get very minimum information. If you want more information, you can go and do IP config all. Okay, all right. Now, what is this information? What is okay, physical address is nothing but the MAC address. Okay, if you're seeing the MAC address, this is the physical address, right? But we're not able to see the physical address here in just doing IP config. Okay, all right. So I'm gonna write here if config and IP config and also try hyphen a and also try all option. Okay, great. Now, for example, if I want to close this command prompt, either I click on this cross mark or just type in exit. Okay. Now here also some example, I can close the command. I mean, I can close this terminal from here or just type in exit. Okay, that's it. Okay, simple. I'm gonna exit here also. Okay. Now, any doubts, any queries on what we discussed today? I mean, till now.
No, it's clear.
No, well, great.
I'm good, sir.
Okay, good. Um, so just give me a moment. Anybody had chance to see that documentary? Any documentary? Anybody saw The Great Hack, or at least started? Okay, no problem. If no started, that's absolutely fine. But make sure, let's say that sometimes during the journey of this course, you might get bored, or you might get lot of heavy lifting you'll be doing that time. To clear up your mind, or to get motivation, or to see what's actually happening in real world, you go and see these documentaries which are inclined towards cybersecurity. Okay, just don't go and see any movie, anything. It's not going to be useful, but only stick to the content which is useful for our course. Okay, all right. Great then. And I hope everybody have set up GitHub account, LinkedIn account, ChatGPT account, right? Now,
Yes.
if you have created a LinkedIn account, I want all of you either to send a connection request to me in LinkedIn, or follow, whatever follow you can. So the reason I'm saying this, because now, because I have a lot of cyber security related content in my LinkedIn, once you start following my profile, whatever cyber security post or related articles I'm liking it, even you will be getting notified to it, that Abhilash has liked this article, right? So even you can like it, you can save it, and others keep it in archive. And as you further move on to the course, all those things will be helpful at any given point of time. Okay. All right. Let's move ahead. Okay. Okay. One more thing. Mm, I should have entered. Let me just. Okay. Um, Install Chrome, Firefox, Opera, and Brave. Okay, these are all our browsers. So please make sure you install all these browsers in your system. Okay. Um, what else we require? What did we discuss more yesterday? Let me also type in here: LinkedIn, GitHub, ChatGPT. Okay, and Bart, Google Bart. Okay, but okay, now apart from this, I also want you to guys start using different search engines apart from Google. Okay, start looking at DuckDuckGo. Okay, start looking for Microsoft Bing. Okay, these are search engines. Okay, let me see if there are any other different search engines which you can. Brave, Yandex, Yahoo, DuckDuckGo. No, I think this should be fine. Um, okay, no, that should be fine. The reason I'm saying to use different search engines, because now Google behaves in a different way. Um, you know, DuckDuckGo behaves in a different way. Microsoft behaves in a different way. I'll give you an example. Okay, let's say, for example, how to hack, let's say, satellites, for example. Okay, only for example. Now if you see the content over here, now those content are very much designed in a way, in a algorithmic way. Okay, now for example, let's say whichever article has more ads, or whichever article has more reviews or more visibility, only those pieces will come over here. Okay, now let's say for example, if I'm using, let's say, mm, let me open up. Now let's say I'm gonna type in DuckDuckGo. Okay. Now here I'm gonna type in how to hack satellite. Right. Now you see the difference. Okay. Now you see the difference between these two, right? Now here there are different set of articles which are coming here. There are different set of articles coming here, right? Now let's say I'm gonna type in here google.com, and let's do again here in the different browser. How to hack satellites, right? You see in Google, it was, though I'm using Firefox, I'm using Chrome here, you get same set of articles here, right? Same videos, 619, 619, same. But here in DuckDuckGo, you see different, you know, articles, set of articles, different content is going to come up over here, right? So always make sure, don't blindly stick to Google or Chrome. Try utilizing other browsers, other search engines. So you will be getting a lot of other, information available to you, right? But this is not applicable for only for this course. In your general day-to-day life also, or let's say for your kids, if you want to do a science project or any search engine in your office, home, start using different, search engines, right? Now, no need to go here and type in DuckDuckGo. I think, in fact, um, if you go to settings, let me type search engine. Okay, if you see here, default search engine is Google, but I have the option to search to pick DuckDuckGo, Bing, or Wikipedia. So start utilizing these, other search engines also. Okay, so this is for Firefox. Similarly, if you're gonna go to Windows, click on Settings. Here in the search option, click Search Engine. Okay, I think this one. So if you see here, search engine used for address bar. So you have the option, either you can go for Bing, DuckDuckGo, Yahoo India, or info.com. Okay, so I will recommend to go for DuckDuckGo. The reason, because Google tracks your IP address and your privacy settings, whereas DuckDuckGo doesn't track your IP address and privacy settings. Okay, that's the major difference between these two. Okay, great. And also start leveraging ChatGPT. You can also go as AI.com, and you can also type in, let's say, how to hack satellites. I don't think so this is going to give information, but let's try out. Yeah, as expected. Because ChatGPT is filtered of not providing any malicious content, any hacking articles, any related to pornography, website hacking, anything, everything gets restricted. Okay, so that's fine. All right. Okay, what's the time? 12:30. Okay. Um, okay. There's one more section I wanted to cover up before we end today's session. That is the course content. Okay. Now, I'll just run through a very high level of course content, high level of activities which we are gonna do, which we're gonna learn, so that all of you will be in the same ground. Okay. So before that, before starting about the course content, any doubts, any queries you guys have in? Anita, Bandhav, Srinath, Sairam, any doubts? Okay, I'll take the silence as no. Okay, great. So what are the course content we're gonna take it over here? Okay. Now, before that, okay. Now in this course, we're gonna cover something called as ethical hacking, vulnerability assessment, and penetration testing. These are the three major skill sets which we're going to cover in this course. Okay. Now, apart from these three skill sets, you have a lot of other skill sets. For example, let's say, you know, threat hunting. Okay. Threat hunting is one skill set. Similarly, something called as incident uh, response is one skill set. So risk assessment is one skill set. So let's not focus on all this. We'll discuss this later. But this particular course will be inclined more towards ethical hacking, more towards vulnerability assessment, more towards penetration testing. Okay. So let's not go into what is ethical hacking, what is penetration testing. We'll discuss this later. But for you to understand, for you to type in any related articles, you can note down these three skill sets. Okay. Now let's go to the course content now, right? Now, in the first section, we're going to learn about the entire module, like how many labs will be there, what kind of labs will be there, what kind of skills are required, what are the basic elements or basic prerequisites we'll be discussing, what will be the different course components will be it, all those details we'll be discussing in the module one. I think module one we already covered because I already showed you how many labs will be there, how many projects will be there, what kind of group exercises will be there. All this, I think we already discussed it, right? But anyhow, for a fresh review or introduction, we can again touch base on this. But this is what we're going to discuss. Okay. The second module is something called as Introduction to Ethical Hacking. Okay. Now, before we further discuss, always make sure, guys, whatever course content we are going through it or whatever we are learning over here, this only for educational purpose. This is not meant for your personal interest to go and hack traffic lights or to go and hack satellites, to go and hack windmills. No, that is the not the intention or purpose of why we are learning this course. This is only for educational purpose and also for your career oriented or enterprise related jobs oriented, right? So please make sure either you don't teach anybody whatever you are learning here so that the other persons will use it in a wrong purpose, or even you guys don't do it in a wrong purpose, right? All right. Now here we're going to learn what is ethical hacking, like types of ethical hacking. All this, most of them are theoretical over here, right? We're going to learn the, all the sophisticated terminologies and wordings. Like for example, what is vulnerability, what is risk, what is threat. We're going to learn basic concepts of networking. What is IP address? What is private, public? What is subnet? What is a firewall? IDS, IPS? All those basics layout of for this course is something we're going to learn over here. We're going to also learn Linux is nothing but this Kali OS, the basic commands to it. Now anyhow, we have learned today how to do ping, how to find the IP address with a option. All those things we find out. Okay. So further we're going to also learn as we further proceed. Okay. So course module 2 will be basics of everything, all the jargons, all the sophisticated terminology, wordings, and everything will be covering up. Okay. Now, the third module is something called a cyber kill chain. Okay, mark this, guys. If you're gonna give an interview for cyber security, expect this question, stating that what is a cyber kill chain. Okay, so this is a mandatory interview question. So please take a note of it. Okay. Now, cyber kill chain is nothing but on a high level. It is a 7-step process on how to do a ethical hacking or how to do a security testing. Okay, these only steps which says first you need to do observation, second you need to do make sure all your tools are ready, third how do you attack. So all those different 7 steps we're going to discuss in cyber kill chain. Okay, so please make sure this is a very very important topic. It will be a definite interview question usually asked. Okay. Now, in the fourth section, we'll be discussing something called as footprinting and reconnaissance. Reconnaissance is nothing but finding out the information. Okay. Now, here we'll be learning different techniques, different tactics on how to find information about a computer or about a website or about a person, whatever comes into the scope of ethical hacking. We're going to find out different ways of finding the information. Like for example, let's say if you receive some mail, where is this email coming from, what is the header of the email, what is the footer of the email, whether this email is fake or not, who has sent this email address. All those details is something we're going to cover up, right? Similarly, we're also going to learn something as Google hacking. Google hacking doesn't mean that we're going to hack Google. It means that what are the ways or what are the different ways to do, ways to use a search engine. For example, let's say I'll give you a very, very basic example. Okay, let's say I wanted to find out cyber security nodes. Okay, for example, right now some random information came up, you will go and find out, you will click each and every link and you will find out. For example, you want that I want all the nodes to be in PDF. So what you can do, put 2 dots over here and type in PDF. So once you enter, you will get, you see here small button PDF. You see, I hope this, let me little bit. Okay, now you see here, now see the difference between the two search methods, right? Now here PDF came, nothing came. This is not a PDF, this is a website, this is a website, this is also a website. All those websites come. Oh my god, nowadays Baiju is also coming in cybersecurity. Great. But here, if I'm going to type in PDF, okay, you see all the articles or all the information which is coming here is in the form of PDF. For example, if I, let's say this is Satyabama Unit 1 Cybersecurity, great. So if you go in, this is a PDF format. Okay, let's see what they are covering here. Need of cybersecurity goals, confidentiality. So all this we're going to learn what is confidentiality, what is integrity, what is two-factor authentication. All this is something we're going to cover up in module number 2nd. Okay, history. Okay, this seems to be a good document. I'll do one thing. I'm gonna copy this and give it to you guys so that you can use it in your free time. How do I give it here? Mm, 1 second. Where is the Zoom? Wait, okay, here. Okay. All right. Now, for example, instead of PDF, I want only document, DOC, Word format, right? Now, you'll be getting most of the, okay, here it is not there, document. Okay, let's type in docx. Anything came up? Okay, you see, this particular format is docx, right? Docx, right? Now, let's say, for example, I want to do cybersecurity notes into XLS format. So all the articles or feeds which are gonna show you will be in .xls format. You see file XLS, okay, PDF, right? So this one small technique which you can do a better search engine usability. Similarly, we'll be able to use multiple techniques, multiple advanced techniques to find out or to fetch information from Google itself only. Okay, this is what we're going to learn in module number 4, right? Similarly, we're also going to cover up the different aspects of networking, right? You know, active reconnaissance, prevention, passive reconnaissance, all those different details is something we're going to cover up. Okay, don't worry about what is reconnaissance, what is active reconnaissance, what is enumeration. When we're going to come to this module, we're going to discuss about this. Okay, now the fifth module is something scanning networks. Okay, so you'll be using different tools here, different types of techniques, different types of port techniques, port scanning techniques, to find out what kind of information we'll be able to get once we do the scanning. Okay, so this will be a lot of practical oriented module, especially starting from here. Okay, starting for footprinting and reconnaissance, lot of practicals, lot of interactions is needed when we further move into, right. The sixth module will be covering it up. How do we bypass an IDS? IDS stands for intrusion detection system. Okay, what is it? Don't worry about it. It's kind of a security gateway. Just remember that. We'll be discussing how to bypass a firewall, how to bypass a honeypot, how to bypass an IDS system. Okay, how does this IDS system works like? How does this IPS system work? All those details is something we're going to cover up in the sixth module. Okay. Similarly, in the seventh module, which is of more of an enumeration, is this not enumeration is nothing but an advanced step to scanning. Now, here in the above, we saw the scanning module, right? So where is scanning, right? Here, fifth one, right? The next step after scanning is nothing but enumeration. Okay, but it will be more of an detailed enumeration. Now, if you see here, there's something called as VoIP, VoIP, right? VoIP is nothing but, let's say, for example, in your respected offices, you'll be having Zoom rooms, right? Or you'll be having video conferencing devices, right? Can we hack that? For example, if you're sitting in one room, right? The person or the people who are sitting in the next room, can we hack those video conferencing devices? Can we hack telephones? Can we hack in BPO, they will be using a sophisticated telephone and all those connected to system, right? All those comes in the part of voice over IP, right? So all those details is something we're going to discuss, how vulnerable those systems are, how do we hack those systems. We'll be also discussing something in terms of Bluetooth hacking, wireless hacking. All those will come as a part of VoIP, right? Similarly, there is something called NTP, SMTP. Don't worry about all those. We'll talk about this later. Okay. Similarly, the next 8th module is in terms of system hacking. System hacking, we're going to discuss types of password attack, types of password cracking definition. We're going to discuss something called as Microsoft authentication. Okay, we're going to discuss something called as hash. Okay, all those details is something we're going to do. Now, for example, let's say you have your Windows system, right, and you forgot your password. How do you going to go and get the or get into the system without having the password? Let's say you have a system, you forgot the password, but you have a lot of important data. How do we retrieve the hard disk, and how do we actually get the data? All those details will be coming up as a part of system hacking. Okay, similarly, let's say for example, there's something called privilege escalation. Is also something we'll discuss, right? Similarly, keylogger, spyware. Keylogger is nothing but, let's say, whatever keys or whatever in the keyboard you're trying to enter, an application can actually read or actually find out what kind of keys or what keys you're trying to enter. So all those details will come into picture. Similarly, something called as data hiding. Okay, steganography. We're going to discuss a couple of case scenarios. For example, how Osama bin Laden strategized his attacking plan in disrupting World Trade Center, and how he used steganography as a means of communication to communicate for the attack of 11 by 9 is something we're going to discuss as a case study in this particular module, right? Similarly, we're going to discuss about malware, what is virus, what is malware, what is phishing, what is ransomware. All those will come as a part of ninth module. The 10th module is sniffing. Sniffing in the sense, if I want to give you an example, you have German Shepherd, you have this dog, right? German Shepherd. all those dogs are actually used in bomb squads, right? That means they have a very strong smell sense, right? That's why they're also called as sniffing dogs, right? Sniffing is nothing but trying to find out an information or trying to get some kind of information by hit and trial mechanism. Okay, now whenever, let's say, in movies or in real time, you will see, right, German shepherds sniffing in trains, or Labrador sometimes you will see in malls, or sometimes you will see in trains or railway stations or airports. They will just sniff it. They don't know exactly where is the bomb or where is the drugs or something like that, but they will go and do a hit and trial mechanism on every luggage they will encounter during their path, right? In a similar way, we'll also be doing in real life, we'll be doing how sniffing is done in how computer world sniffing is done. All those tactics is something we're going to learn. Okay, further moving to 11th module, which is of social engineering. Social engineering is nothing but, let's say for example, I wanted to attack or hack the system where Srinath is working, right? Now I know that Srinath is from DevOps. How did I know? Because I went to his LinkedIn profile and I'm able to find what and all technologies he has been working, right? I'll give you one more very good example. Okay, now let's say, for example, how do I give example? Um, let's take an organization. Okay, can anybody give me a sample organization? Just name any organization or any company which you're working, or any company in Hyderabad you're working in. Anybody? Anita, you are you working anywhere right now? Anita, where are you working? Yes, Anita, type in which organization you're working in. Okay, anybody? Or let's say, Srinath, which organization you're working in? Can you type in?
Yeah, sure, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's say she has typed in Emico Technologies Private Limited. Okay. Now let's see how do we. I mean, I'm not going to show you how to do a social engineering, but what we're going to learn is something. We'll find it out. Okay. I'm going to do a quick Google search. Emico Technologies Private Limited. Okay. Um, Emico. Okay. So this office is registered on December 2021 in Hyderabad. Okay. Let's find out more information. Let's see this. Okay. So registration number, private IP address, capital, paid capital. Okay, contact details. So it has something over here, contact details and Madhapur. Okay, director disease is um, um, Anita, can you confirm, is these two persons working in your organization? Anvesh Verma, or Samba Shivarao. Are these two people working here? Oh, we'll find it out. Okay. Let's say we'll just do Control F. Okay, and type in, and I'm gonna type in here LinkedIn. Let's say, for example. Okay. Let's find out. No, it doesn't seems to be is working. No, not this one. Okay. Let's find out image and just type in this thing. And I'm also gonna type in Emico. Okay. Okay, I don't get any information from here. Companies with similar address. Okay. Okay, they have the same address. Okay. I don't know why similar address is there. Website is not here. Okay, let's find out the Gmail address over here. Okay, just type in, just find out randomly. Okay, now this is coming up here. Okay, now here also the same address is coming. Okay, here also the same address is coming. You can see this address gets highlighted, right? So just go through, just randomly go through the company, find out. So it says manufacturer of basic chemicals, chemical products. So we able to find out that this particular company is basically some kind of chemical. Is it right, Anita? Is it a chemical related organization? Okay, come down. This is the register office. Okay. Now, for example, let's say that I'm able to find the address of this particular organization. Now, what I can do is that, let's say, for example, I'm an attacker. Okay. I will intentionally drop a pen drive in their parking lot. Okay, now I know this is the address, and I know that every day these employees comes and park their vehicles in, let's say, floor number 1. So I will intentionally I will drop 1 or 2 pen drives on the parking floor. Now, if any employees of the organization finds out, then definitely out of curiosity, Sairam, I request you to mute yourself. Okay, thank you. So let's say if I'm dropping a pen drive, out of curiosity, somebody will pick up the pen drive and will go and use this pen drive for the personal use, or I will pick up the pen drive for some, to find out what is there inside the pen drive, right? It's a normal psychological intention. Okay. Now imagine the moment any employee of Emico picks up the pen drive from this particular location and inserts in the office laptop, and that pen drive will have any malicious file, any malicious content from the normal eyes that person is not able to see. That's a problem, right? The moment he or she is going to insert the pen drive in the system, it gets spread, right? Now, how did I able to do? What's the root cause of it? Because of doing a social engineering. Why social engineering? Because I'm able to find out the address, office address of this particular office, right? Now similarly, I also give you, okay, let's take one more example. Cade Ploy Engineering Private Limited. Okay, let's find out what some company details. Now, in this particular module of social engineering, we're going to learn much more advanced techniques on how to do, social engineering. Okay, so I think this is the organization. CAT is a fast emerging area of engineering solutions. Okay, it's a good thing. Let's close the remaining this thing. Ashraf, confirm me if this is the uh,
Yes.
okay, great. Now let's click on jobs. Let's see if any jobs are there. Okay, great. So we have technical account manager, we have BDM, we have SD2. Let's click on all jobs. Okay. Now it's a very interesting thing. Now let's say, for example, okay, night shift. Okay, now I'm able to find out that even people work in the night shift also here. Okay, one good information. um let's see what is there here. Okay, there is a lady called Bhavani. Okay, there's an employee called Bhavani in this particular organization. Okay, this is one very useful information. Okay, skill sets needs to be sales operation planning, operation management, and technical account manager, right? Now let's go to .NET. Okay, now this is a very important information. Now, because this particular organization has posted a .NET developer, that means their applications are also built in .NET, right? They'll be using ASP.NET for building their applications. Okay, if you see here, they have also an Angular JS developer, right? That means there is a chance that right now they are using .NET application and they will be migrating to a new language, which is Angular JS. So Ashraf, what you do, you find out who is Bhavani and find out whether the applications which are running in your organization are .NET or AngularJS.
Yes, they are on both the AngularJS and .NET.
.NET. See, this is how you do a social engineering. Now, without hitting the website, without even talking to that person, I'm able to find what now. Once a attacker knows it's a .NET application, it will be fraction of seconds required for the attacker to go and penetrate into the applications. Okay. Now here, if you see, they are using HTML. HTML in the sense the front end will be developed in HTML and AngularJS. They'll be using .NET. They'll be using AngularJS. They're also using C#. Right now, I don't know how secure is C#, how secure is .NET, how secure is ASP.NET. It's still a a bigger question to it. Right now, okay, they have offices in Coimbatore also. Okay, that's a good thing. Coimbatore, Hyderabad. Okay, so this is how base. Okay, let's me also jobs. Click on people. Okay, now we have so many people as a part of this organization. Okay, I think this is wrong. Let's go back. Click on Kploy, click on people. Okay, now if you see here, what I noticed is that maybe he will be the managing director of the organization. Now, as an attacker, I can call this company and say that we are calling from, let's say, Times of India. We have noticed your article in, in Hindu newspaper. Would you like to give an interview for Times Now also? So definitely, because the article came in, let's say, Hindu, the particular managing director will also be interested to give or publish his this article in different newspapers also. Right now, I can go and gather a lot of information saying that what time you are available for this particular ad, so much of amount is required, so much of details you need to fill on in this particular forum and all that. But actually, that particular guy or that particular person who is calling to the managing director about the newspaper will be a fake. Right, the only intention is to fool either systems or the people handling the systems, is what social engineering is. Okay, now let's move on. We're almost close to time. So this is what we're discussing about social engineering. Right, the 12th module will be discussing something as denial of service. It's a DOS attack. It's one of the technique on how to attack systems. Okay, um, then we'll be discussing about vulnerability analysis. Okay, we already discussed, right, vulnerability assessment. So vulnerability analysis is nothing but vulnerability in layman terms. It is like a bug or a problem or some kind of error. Just imagine like that. Okay, let's not go deep into it, but we'll be finding out what is the bug in the application or what is the security bug in the product. All those analysis, something comes the part of module 13. Okay, now the next module is hacking web servers. Now web servers is nothing but servers where web application is hosted. Now in Swhizz technologies, we found out, right, the IP address is actually located in Singapore. So they are using some kind of web server which is hosted in Singapore. So how do we hack such kind of web servers is something we're going to discuss in this module. Right, similarly, we're also going to discuss on web applications. Web applications is nothing but any website, any e-commerce portal, any SaaS based applications is something we're going to discuss in module 15. Okay, it's a pretty advanced module. Okay, 15 and 14 are, once we do a very good analysis of all these 13 modules, 14 and 15 is going to be super easy. Right, all right. Further we go down, we're gonna 16th module about wireless hacking. Now, let's say, for example, it is never recommended that public Wi-Fi should be used either in airport or railway station. Let's say if you're connected to a public network, what are the different pros and cons of connecting to a public network is something we're going to discuss in this. Right, how do we hack wireless devices, how do we hack Bluetooth devices? All those will come as a part of hacking wireless networks. Right, next is mobile platforms. Now, as web applications we are testing, we also need to test mobile applications also. Right, so we're also going to learn how do we do security testing for mobile applications also. Right, further we moved on, we'll also going to discuss about cloud computing, very buzzword nowadays. I mean, not nowadays, but since a long time. So we're going to discuss what are the different attacks or different technologies, different security mechanisms with respect to cloud. We'll be discussing about AWS, Azure, GCP. All those things will come as a part of cloud computing. Okay. Now, further we move on. We're going to discuss about cryptography. Cryptography is nothing but converting a plain text into some random unknown text. Okay, so cryptography is a very crucial part. We're going to discuss a lot of case scenarios, lot of different mechanisms in cryptography, so and so forth. Okay, so these are the 19 modules which we'll be covering up during this entire course curriculum. Okay, now this will have both theoretical, this will have a lot of practical, this will also have couple of homeworks given to you, right? Now, for example, let's say that I will give you one example. Okay, let's say, for example, cryptography, let's say cloud computing, right? So I want now it's quite impossible for me to cover all these modules in a very given limited span of time. So what I will be doing is that I will be giving you some topics in cloud computing, so you guys need to prepare and take like a 10 or 15 minutes of session to all the students. Okay, so some kind of homework, some kind of presentation skills will be also a part of this entire course curriculum. Okay. All right, then, lot of speaking. So I think we are good for today. We'll be ending this session in 1 or 2 minutes. So please feel free to ask if you have any questions, any queries, happy to answer, or else you can drop for now, guys. Thank you.
So, just in this, it will be covered SQL injection.
Yes, SQL injection will be covered. I think yesterday also somebody asked. See, if you see, as of in hacking web application, that is 15th module, one module is SQL injection. You see, yeah. All right. Okay. Any further questions, guys?
We are good, sir.
Okay. One second. So today we have Ashraf is there, Srinath is there. I'm just noting your name so that I'll keep a record of Srinath, Ashraf, Sairam, Anita, okay, and Banda. Okay, Sirisha is there. Okay, Sirisha didn't join today, and Durgesh also didn't join today. Okay, that's fine. So we have Srinath, Sairam, Ashraf, Bandhav, Anita, right? Great then. All right, guys. Thanks for your time, and we'll connect tomorrow, same time.
Yes, yes, bye.
Okay, bye, guys. Have a great day.